If they only want you when you leave, you are not imagining it, and you are not crazy for feeling hooked by it. But here is the brutal truth most people miss. What you are experiencing is not love finally waking up. It is an avoidant system finally losing control of access. And the moment you understand that, your entire strategy changes. Because you stop trying to earn closeness by proving your love, and you start creating the two conditions that actually move an avoidant toward real connection: low pressure and real consequence. This episode is not about playing games. It is about ending the most exhausting loop in modern dating, the one where they are warm when you detach and cold when you come close. So let us name the pattern cleanly. The pattern is this: when you lean in, they feel pressure. When you pull back, they feel loss. Pressure triggers deactivation. Loss triggers activation. That is why the chase only happens after you leave, not because they suddenly became ready. Because the nervous system that fears closeness also fears losing control. Most people sabotage themselves right here. They see the avoidant return after distance, and they think, finally, it worked. Finally, they care. Finally, I should be more available to keep them. And they reward the return. They reward it with speed, warmth, access, relief, emotional dumping, deep talks, long texts, forgiveness before repair, closeness before consistency. And the avoidant system learns the most dangerous lesson possible. I can withdraw, I can come back, and I will be rewarded for returning without changing. That is how you train someone to keep you in a push-pull loop forever. So the first thing I want to do is calm you down with precision. If they only want you when you leave, it does not mean you are unlovable. It means the relationship has been running on contrast. Your nervous system has been living on spikes. Distance creates fear for them. Returning creates relief for you. Relief is powerful. Relief feels like romance. But relief is not the same as stability. And if you want an avoidant back in a way that becomes real, you have to stop treating relief as proof. You have to start treating patterns as proof. Now, let us break down what is happening inside them when you get close, because understanding the mechanism will stop you from taking it personally. Most avoidants did not learn closeness as ease. They learned closeness as obligation. Closeness meant someone wanted more from them, needed more from them, expected more from them, or would eventually judge them for failing. So their system developed a protective reflex. The reflex is distance. Distance lowers obligation. Distance lowers expectations. Distance restores autonomy. That is why when you lean in emotionally, they can feel it as gravity. Even if you say nothing wrong, even if you are kind, even if you are calm. If your energy is reaching, if your nervous system is trying to secure them, they feel pulled. And pulled for an avoidant system can feel like trapped. Then the deactivation begins. They get slower. They get vague. They get busy. They get tired. They get less affectionate. They stop initiating. They create space without explaining it. And you, being human, respond to the shift. You try to fix it. You try to clarify. You try to talk. You try to be understood. You try to get back to the good version. And that pursuit, even if it is gentle, increases pressure. So they withdraw more. Now, here is the part that will change your entire approach. When you leave, the pressure drops. The demands drop. The expectation drops. They can breathe. At first, many avoidants feel relief. They call it peace. They tell themselves it is fine. They tell themselves you are fine. They tell themselves the connection is stable. This is why the first window after you detach can look like nothing. People panic and break here. They think silence did not work. They think no contact pushed them away. They think it is over. But what is often happening is decompression. Their system is coming down from pressure. Then something else starts to happen. The absence becomes real. Not emotionally at first, behaviorally. They notice you are not reaching. They notice you are not reacting. They notice you are not available. And that triggers the other fear. Loss of access, loss of control, loss of a safe option. Because many avoidants like closeness, they just want it on their terms. So when you remove predictable access, their management system loses a key piece. Now the mind starts scanning. Where are you? What changed? Are you upset? Did you move on? Did you find someone else? Are you done? And this is when they start to circle. A like, a view, a low-risk message, a neutral question, a casual check-in, a breadcrumb. Sometimes it is not even contact. It is watching. It is hovering. It is monitoring. It is trying to feel if the door is still open without having to walk through it. That is the truth. They want you when you leave, because leaving removes pressure and creates consequence. But consequence alone does not create a healthy return. It creates a chase. And a chase is not a relationship. So what you need is a third element that most people never install. Standards. Standards are what turn a chase into repair. Standards are what turn attention into consistency. Standards are what keep you from collapsing when they come back. And collapsing is the thing that kills your leverage and your future every time. So let us make this brutally practical. If they only want you when you leave, you have to stop measuring progress by whether they return. You have to measure progress by whether their behavior changes once they return. That is the entire game. Return is easy. Staying is the test. Consistency is the test. Repair is the test. Accountability is the test. If you reward return, you reinforce the cycle. If you reward staying, you change the cycle. Now I am going to give you a clean framework that helps you do this without being cold and without being dramatic. It is called calm and firm. Calm lowers pressure. Firm raises standards. Calm is your tone. Firm is your behavior. Calm says, I am not trying to trap you. Firm says, I am not willing to be trapped either. This combination is rare. Most people become needy or they become cruel. They chase or they punish. Calm and firm is different. Calm and firm is what makes an avoidant system respect you, because it does not trigger their fear of being devoured and it does not reward their pattern of disappearing. So what does calm and firm look like when they only want you when you leave? It looks like this. You stop chasing when they pull away. You do not send the long text. You do not try to talk them into clarity. You do not bargain with your nervous system at the peak. You let the peak pass. Because the first 24 hours after a pull-away is when your body wants to secure. Securing behavior is what teaches an avoidant that distance controls you. So you do not act at the peak. Then you create clean space. Not protest silence, clean silence. Clean silence means you are not hovering, not checking, not rehearsing, not waiting with your whole body. Because attention is the real loop. You can stop texting and still feed the attachment system all day. That is still participation, and avoidant systems can sense availability. They may not call it that, but they can feel when the door is open. Cleaner silence is when your nervous system actually exits the chase posture. That is what creates consequence. Not punishment, consequence. Inconsistency costs access. Now, here is the second piece. When they return, you do not reward them for coming back. You reward them for staying. This is where most people fail. The avoidant sends one warm message, and your nervous system floods with relief. You respond fast. You open emotionally. You give more. You over-explain. You over-give. You try to lock it in. And the avoidant feels pressure again. Then they disappear again. And you tell yourself they are impossible. But the pattern is predictable. The return triggered your relief. Your relief triggered your pursuit. Your pursuit triggered their fear. So the move is to meet the return with steadiness, not coldness, steadiness. Steady is the language that changes avoidant systems over time. Steady says, I like you, and I have a spine. Steady says, I can be warm, and I will not be inconsistent with myself. Steady says, you do not get closeness as a reward for leaving. You get closeness as a result of showing up. So what do you actually say when they come back after you leave? You keep it short. You keep it clean. You keep it self-led. Something like, I am open to reconnecting. I move slowly with consistency. Or, good to hear from you. I am available for real connection, not half in, half out. Or, I am not upset. I am just not participating in on and off. These are not speeches. These are signals. Now, let us get more specific about why this particular pattern is so addictive. Because many people who experience this are not actually attached to the person as much as they are attached to the relief cycle. When they pull away, your body activates. When they return, your body calms. That calm feels like safety. Your brain tags them as the source of safety, but the truth is, they are the source of the stress and the relief. That is a loop. And loops create bonding that feels like fate. That is why you can want to let go and still feel pulled back. You are not weak. Your nervous system learned to chase relief, not love. So the third part of the strategy is internal. You have to stop making their return the medicine. Because if their return is your medicine, you will always collapse into gratitude. And gratitude for return is what keeps you trapped. The medicine becomes your own steadiness, your own structure, your own life being stable enough that their distance does not feel like a threat to your identity. And this is where people misunderstand this work. They think, if I become stable, it means I do not care. No. It means you care with control. It means you can want them back without giving away your position. It means you can be open without being available for the cycle. Now let us address the big fear people have. What if I leave and they never come back? Here is the truth that protects you. If distance makes them disappear permanently, chasing was not going to turn them into a stable partner. Chasing would have only kept you in a longer version of the same trap. Silence does not destroy a bond that has real capacity. Silence removes access from a bond that depended on you over-functioning. So if they only want you when you leave, the goal is not to leave forever. The goal is to stop providing free access while tolerating inconsistency. You are not trying to punish them. you are restructuring the cost. Inconsistency costs access. Consistency earns closeness. That is the only structure that changes behavior over time. Now I want to show you how to recognize whether their return is a real shift or just another cycle. There are 3 green flags and 3 red flags. Green flag 1 is they return with ownership, not just charm. Ownership looks like naming what happened without you having to teach them. It looks like, I pulled away and I know that affected you. It looks like, I disappeared and I understand that was confusing. It looks like, I want to do this differently. Green flag 2 is they return with behavior, not just words. Behavior looks like they initiate consistently over time. They follow through. They keep plans. They communicate without disappearing. They repair quickly when they slip. Green flag 3 is they can tolerate your standard without punishing you for it. When you say, I move slowly with consistency, they do not attack you, guilt you, or disappear. They adjust. Now, the red flags. Red flag 1 is they return with intensity and then go vague again as soon as you are available. That means they wanted the relief of access, not the responsibility of closeness. Red flag 2 is they return with emotional bait but no structure. They say, I miss you, you are special, we have a connection. But they do not make a plan, they do not show consistency, they do not build anything real. Red flag 3 is they punish your steadiness. They call you cold. They say you are playing games. They accuse you of being dramatic for having standards. That is a tell. It means your standard threatens the benefit they get from the cycle. Now, here is the most important part. If they only want you when you leave, you must stop doing one specific thing that destroys your leverage. You must stop giving them emotional closeness without consistent behavior. Emotional closeness is a reward. If you give it for free, the pattern does not change. This is what people confuse. They think love means giving, but relationships are built on reinforcement. Behavior changes when reinforcement changes. If the avoidant can withdraw and still receive closeness when they return, they will keep withdrawing. If the avoidant can come close and experience calm, firm, steady connection that does not demand performance and does not tolerate inconsistency, they begin to rewire. Slowly, quietly, over time. Now, let us talk about the one move that ruins everything. The long emotional message. The message where you explain your pain and ask them to see you. It feels honest. It feels mature. It feels like closure. But to an avoidant system, it often reads as pressure and expectation. They feel responsible for your emotional state, and responsibility triggers fear. Fear triggers withdrawal. Then you feel abandoned and you chase again. So if your goal is to get an avoidant back, your communication must become cleaner. Less emotional trial, more calm signal. Less explanation, more standard. That is not manipulation. That is precision. You are speaking in a language their nervous system can tolerate. And you are protecting yours at the same time. Now, I want to give you a very simple map to hold in your mind when you feel confused by the cycle of they want you when you leave. The map has 4 phases. Phase 1 is closeness. You get closer. You connect. You bond. You start believing it is finally real. Phase 2 is deactivation. They start to pull back. The temperature drops. The responsiveness changes. You feel it. Phase 3 is pursuit. You try to fix it. You reach. You explain. You check. You ask. You feel urgency. Phase 4 is correction. You detach. You stop chasing. You go quiet. They return. Most people treat Phase 4 as victory. It is not. Phase 4 is a chance to restructure the loop. The win is not their return. The win is your response to their return. Your response is what determines whether the cycle repeats or evolves. So the next time they return after you leave, do not rush to rebuild closeness. Rebuild structure. Let closeness be the result of structure. Let closeness be earned through consistency. Now let us talk about what it means to leave in a way that actually works. Because many people do leaving wrong. They do leaving as a performance. They post, they hint, they punish, they disappear to provoke. And that kind of leaving is still pressure. It is still pursuit in disguise. It is still an attempt to control their response. Avoidants can feel that. It triggers them. The kind of leaving that changes things is clean. Clean leaving means you stop feeding the loop without broadcasting it. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to win the verdict. You stop trying to extract closure. You simply remove access from inconsistency. That is what creates consequence without drama. That is what creates space without threat. That is what allows an avoidance system to feel you without being flooded. Now, if you want the highest chance of a real return, here is the core rule. Lower pressure while raising standards. Lower pressure means you stop emotional flooding and you stop demanding closeness right now. Raise standards means you stop rewarding inconsistency. The two together are what changes outcomes. If you only lower pressure, you become the comfortable option. If you only raise standards without warmth, you become punishment, and they run. Calm and firm is the balance. Calm is the emotional climate. Firm is the behavioral boundary. Now, I want to end with a truth that closes the loop in your brain. If they only want you when you leave, the problem is not that you want them. The problem is that your nervous system has been trained to treat inconsistency as a puzzle to solve. So you keep solving. You keep negotiating. You keep converting potential into hope. And hope becomes your trap. The way out is accuracy. Accuracy is when words without behavior do not count. Accuracy is when returning without consistency is not treated as progress. Accuracy is when you stop scanning for hidden meaning and start observing patterns. And once you move from meaning to patterns, you stop being hooked. Because you are no longer buying safety with attention. You are creating safety with structure. And the paradox is this. The moment you stop rewarding the return and start rewarding the staying, you become the exact kind of person an avoidance system respects. Not because you are cold, because you are steady. And steadiness is the one thing that makes closeness feel possible to someone who is terrified of it. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.